there. This year, one of my resolutions was to watch every single movie that has won the Academy Award for Best Picture, including the ones I've already seen, plus the ones I haven't. I'm starting at the very beginning. I'm going to work my way up to whatever wins this year. The very first Academy Award ceremony was held in March of 1929. It was a 15-minute event. It was hosted by Douglas Fairbanks, who was one of the biggest movie stars of the time. The first movie to win the Oscar for Best Picture was Wings. It was directed by William Wellman, who would go on to direct the first of many versions of A Star is Born, and he also directed one of my favorite westerns, The Oxbow Incident, which is really depressing, but it's brilliant. He also directed one of the best gangster movies ever, The Public Enemy, starring Jimmy Cagney. I have seen Wings before, but it's been about 20 years or so since I last watched it, so it was really interesting watching it again now. The story's a pretty typical silent melodrama about two best friends who are fighting together during World War I, and their friendship is threatened when they realize they're both in love with the same woman, played by Jobina Ralston, who was in a bunch of films with Harold Lloyd, one of the great silent comedians. Pining for one of the two best friends, without him knowing it, is his neighbor, played by Clara Bow, who was known as the It Girl, having starred in the silent film It. She really represented the epitome of flapper culture in the 1920s and was one of Hollywood's first sex symbols. What's most impressive to me about Wings is the battle sequences. There's a really stunning scope to all the aerial dogfights as well as the ground combat. It's difficult not to compare this movie to Hell's Angels, the Howard Hughes film that came out just a few years later with Jean Harlow. There's kind of a similar story in some ways, and it has these really stunning aerial dogfight sequences that were all done, decades before CGI, and they were actually flying airplanes and crashing them into each other, and it was crazy. But Wings came first. I don't personally think Wings is quite as good as Hell's Angels, but they both have some really exciting action in them, and simply from a technical standpoint, there's some incredible stuff. There are shots in Wings that are just dumbfounding, that you're like, how did they do this in 1927? It's really beautifully photographed. So the film ended up winning the Oscar, although, interestingly, that first year, there were two categories for Best Picture. There was the Best Picture for Production, which is the one that Wings won, and then there was another category for the most artistic and unique picture, and that was won by Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans, directed by F.W. Murnau, the German expressionist filmmaker who had directed the original Nosferatu several years earlier. I think it's an absolute masterpiece. If there had been one category for Best Picture, Sunrise is the one that I would have personally wanted to win, but Wings is a terrific film. While I don't think it's necessarily one of the top Best Picture winners ever made, it's certainly better than some other ones. Alright, join me as I continue on this journey over the next few months, watching every single Best Picture winner. Best Picture marathon theme song that I just made up.